Outer Orange.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a premium tier list. I was originally going to do this as its own video by my lonesome, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm just going to talk out of my ass. So why talk out of my ass by myself when I could talk out of my ass with the homies? We have here the premium tier list, and I already don't know what the first icon is. It's either Angel Feather. No, it can't be Angel Feather. This is Angel Feather. Is this gold? Is this gold? Please tell me this is gold. Wait, what? I know this one's Royal Paladin. Oracle Think Tank. This is Shadows. Oh my god, I hate it here. I already hate it here. I don't want to do this anymore. I had them in order for the V one, and I was very happy about it. Anyway, so this one was so we're gonna go through this thing where like we're just gonna do this as a team. I know about like 6 or 7 clans guaranteed, and then the other ones I'm kind of like like, and actually it's probably like about more than half. I think about 12 I know pretty well, and then the other ones are kind of more fishy on, and there's kind of more like I don't know. But so we're just gonna kind of do this together as a collaboration. We're just the chat collaboration. I'm gonna be real, this feels like a B tier deck. This is one of the few decks I actually don't know too well, but I'm just gonna throw it in here and you guys can decide if that's a good spot for it. If not, we can move it up, we can discuss it, we can vote. I don't know, we can have a party. But B sounds pretty good to me. I don't think it really works well off of the history collection stuff. From what I know, Cleared Sword is just not the way. So and then Luard is still just Luard. You know, a lot of decks can play around Luard pretty well nowadays. Morfessa isn't like that ridiculous, but a lot better in theory than it did in practice. Honestly, Shotpad is a B tier at best. Luard is B, so I see BC, B or C. We'll keep it in B. And then if we need to move, it might be the lowest of B. So that sounds about right. And I think from what I heard, Cleared Sword is just kind of very whatever. So which is sad because I like Cleared Sword. Has personality issues and can't decide the list. That is very unfortunate for Shadow players. Cleared's Cope. Revengers are pretty easy to play around and have bad matchups into meta. That's right. I didn't think about Revengers. Revengers is kind of interesting because it kind of is more Vanguard centric into a meta where you want to be Vanguard centric, but I can also see there being other issues where you get stuck. For instance, bugs. Spikes okay, so Spikes is weird. Without Hanoi, Spikes is like A, and then with Hanoi, Spikes is like C. So, where is it like in the middle? Like where do you, because like I've seen, so the Stride is good. So the Stride is good, like especially with the new stuff. The issue is once your opponent puts down those Hanoi, that's it. They always draw Hanoi. B sounds right. All right, B sounds okay. All right, because I lost to this deck at Shop Challenge while I was playing Melista. You wanna know why? Because they had like 9 attacks and I was bricking and they went first. I just couldn't get to my stuff in time. All right, what is this? Is this okay? I'm gonna take a guess and say that's. Yeah, I don't know. Is it Tachi's? I see Tachi's. It's Dinosaur. Isn't Dinosaur kind of good? Like, isn't Dinosaur kind of like in the A slot? And we'll put it in a high B. Charlie said it's good, but he said it also is bad at the same time. Charlie thinks it's like kind of lower than it actually is. So we'll throw it in B as well. Struggles a bit against Hanoi and Ghidorah, but it's not Coke. I wouldn't put it above Spikes. Okay, okay, Spikes is better. Understood. The premium players are helping me out. We got the squad today, the homies. All right, Angel Feather. So Angel Feather is also weird. Angel Feather Gizeh is strong. The issue is that Gizeh shuts down Ghidorah shuts down Gizeh. So I think this deck is supposed to be an A, but if there's too many Bugs players, this deck is instantly B. Like, because there isn't anything else he can play. It's literally just Gavriel. And Gavriel's the only thing that's keeping this deck alive. So either you go pure Gavriel or you go Gizeh Gavriel. I have seen a little bit of this deck in action. It is pretty interesting. It kind of bricks a little bit, but the crits into the draws, it's pretty good. Hot take, you think it's C? That's fair. I think if Bugs are alive, I think this deck is pretty rough. I'm not super impressed by it with friends testing. Okay, all right. What changed it to make it playable? The crits being crits and draws is like a big plus to the deck because the deck wants to see crits, but it also wants to draw for hand. I don't think it should be put in A before it gets, okay, not in A. I think it's like B, C-ish personally. Like, so what I've heard is that the deck's insane. What I've seen is that the deck's like C-B-ish tier. Because like I have a close friend who like literally plays Angel Feather like day and night. and I have yet to see anything super like out there. Every time I face it, it has almost decked out unless they swing like 9 crit Hameo. Yes, they also have like a deck out issue because without Hameo, the deck just does nothing and you could blitz the Hameo. I think blitzing the Hameo is like the biggest thing that's hurting the deck. But like, I'm not gonna lie, Hameo is kind of broken if you don't have a blitz in hand. Like, you're just sitting there like, oh, that's how many crits? Oh, that's how much? Oh, it's 116k. Oh, blitz. Like, okay, you passed turn, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna throw it and see, but just so we're all aware, there might be some kind of spicy stuff in this clan that we just don't know about. How about that? It's just def better than Shadows. You think it's better than Shadows? Damn. Also, PGG guards exist now for a reason. They do. They go. There's a lot of stuff there. Like Grand Blue goes around Hameo for days. Like Grand Blue does not care about Hameo at all. It's like, well, the Grand Blue is like the main clan. It's like. You said how many crits? G guard. Dude, I got the PG from drop. Have a nice day. I think Shadows is pretty dog right now. Let's just move Shadows to C tier. How about that? Shadows can just live in its C tier life. Premium the B tier. Is No Seal good? No Seal is like 1 card away from being good. Like it needs 1 more card. Unfortunately, it's not there. Angel, it also can't use the crits as well. Angels just suffers from the meta hard. Gets rocked by bugs and Nars. I agree with that, Gwen. I agree with that. All right, Angels can exist in B. We'll move it down probably. Neonectar. Pretty sure this is Neonectar. It looks like Neonectar. So Neonectar has results. Yeah. The superior is kind of good. Hello Setsu. Hey, it's solid. Okay, that's fair. Like, we should make an extra tier that says it's good until it faces Ghidorah. That's what we should do. Oh my god. We're adding another tier. Perfect. Sorry, my keyboard's still busted. There. Kept like, yeah, there we go. Because I'm very sure Grand Blue's about to fall into this category too here in a sec. Aqua Force. So Aqua Force is like, you would be surprised how many people know and just don't respect it though. And S is just decks that are also good versus bugs and are bugs. Yeah, basically. I think NA meta is just weird right now. We have a bunch of bugs players. Okay, I'm gonna say Aqua Force is in the B category, touching A, because Aqua Force is pretty good. But low B, high C. Okay, you know what? You know more than B. I was gonna say B, you know, maybe touching A, but you know, that's valid. So we're gonna put it in the B tier. I do agree that Hanui just wrecks this deck right now, and Aqua Force just still doesn't have like a win con in premium. It's just I draw a lot. Like I draw a lot, and then I'll eventually maybe kill you, and then you'll do something stupid, and then I'll just flop sideways. It has bad matchups into Ghidorah because of Hanui, Narukami, Chaos, and Grand Blue. Grand Blue feels really hard. I'm not gonna lie, maybe it's just my playstyle. But personally, playing into Aqua Force as a Grand Blue player is really tough sometimes because Excel deck. I will say that I actually spent a lot of time facing Aqua Force as a Grand Blue player. But yes, you can Mist Off if you run Mist. I was gonna say Mist Off is your out, but that means you have to be running Mist Off. And not always can the meta afford for you to run Mist Off. Just something to keep in mind. Not every meta says you have room for Mist Off, because if you're focused on people superior riding on you or riding down on you, you kind of have to run Roll Rocks or Hanui. I think Bermuda's a solid A. There's multiple decks in here that are okay. I think obviously Melissa kind of falls into this category currently. Melissa's pretty okay. It's not the best deck by far. I know a lot of people throughout all the different social medias are like BDIF, and I'm like, bro, no, it's not. It's not a BDIF, dude. No, don't do this. Don't stop. It's not. But there are actually a couple other decks in here that I can't really fully go into detail about, but I think there's like 1 or 2 other decks that kind of also fall into the A category. I also think Anj actually isn't terrible. Anj Highlander is really good. Highlander is still like a very viable deck. The issue with Highlander is that it can fold to Darkface, which is kind of an issue. But if you just take out Darkface, basically bugs, and like every other stuff is actually pretty good. Like the deck can survive pretty well, can deal with stuff pretty well. But the Anj on its own is actually good. Anj Lander would have been amazing, but too tired. So Dark Irregulars feels kind of bad right now, and I could be wrong. But I know it's kind of like a lottery deck. High Road into Victory. And okay, it can brick, but it can also just kill. Hope on Dip is still a dumb card. I will say, if you don't know the matchup, you'll kind of fold to it. If you do know the matchup, I feel like it's not that hard to play around the deck. I think B is a good solid spot. I think DP. So DP is weird. DP into the meta that we just saw at Toronto is like amazing. But DP on a normal daily is like okay. I say A. I think it's A. I do think if it sees bugs and Narukami all day long, it's like easily an S tier deck. I don't know about B. I don't know about B because I'm telling you, it's really just the meta, right? Because if the meta becomes more heavy, like Thavas meta, like if we see if the deck sees decks like Thavas, the deck loses. But if the decks or Highlander, but if the deck sees decks like Narukami and bugs, it's really good. So it's kind of just hard to say, you know, like. Because it does beat Bermuda, and it can beat Neo Nectar too, and it does beat Narukami, and it does beat Bugs. That's a lot of good stuff it beats that are also technically above it. So I don't know. That's a tricky one. It can't beat Grand Blue though. It technically can't. Like okay, unless it goes like super late game. Still makes the deck suffer. It depends on how you play it. So personally, from like testing. So I'm just going off of testing, and we have seen results too. So keep in mind there's results, which by the way, the deck has been performing. It's been like a second. It's at first places, it's had second places, it's had top 8s. But if you run Huntley and you run the bikes and you run the tasers, you can actually play into almost any deck perfectly fine for setup, and then you can go into the Gallop for the finisher. The ML Antaria does hurt, but I don't think it's enough to say that the deck is a B tier deck. Gears. So Gears is kind of weird. I'm hearing a lot of cope coming from like multiple sides. I hear a lot of people that are like, oh my god, Gears is so broken. Oh my god, oh Crest. And then you hear the other people that are like, yo, they're all crack, dude. They don't know what they're talking about. This shit sucks. Where is the line, my guys? Where's the line? Is it good or bad? I personally think it's cope. Gears feels B. I'ma say hard B. I think the Hyro is not worth what the deck is capable of right now. Golds? That's probably golds. Genesis. Okay, Genesis. So Genesis is a weird one. Genesis is actually pretty good. Genesis then golds. Okay, fair. In my opinion, I think Genesis is actually pretty good. It can play V. Like it could just ride up and play V with Norns and kind of just go crazy. It doesn't really care about Huntley. It can care about Huntley, but it usually doesn't care about Huntley. Because you can still do 5 attacks, you just have to be more careful with how you do your 5 attacks. Vanguard centric, so you can kind of just like sit there and just restand your Minerva, or you can like double Norn. Depends on the build and how good you are. I'd say it's middle of B. Are all the decks just B? So Regalia I think is like really strong. Fenrir I'm not too sure on. I've never really known what Fenrir does aside from what I saw during loop times. Poets is a deck. Dragon Tree is a deck. You're right. Those are decks. I say it can top. I think it can top. I think right there, 15 drive poets. That deck is so copium though. That deck is like the other end of Ballista. It's like, ooh, I got my win con. Yay! I will be honest, most things in this format feel fair. Soon to be 17 drive checks, y'all. It's gonna get even crazier. Middle of B, it's worse than Angels. All right, we'll put it right there. Golds feels pretty B-ish to me as well, to be honest. More leaning towards C. It does have some like random stuff that's pretty good. You know, you can go around garden sticks pretty easily. Golds is B. I'm gonna play right there. Y'all can decide how B-ish it is. If it's like this level B or middle B. Golds is A? Golds is A. All right, tell me more. Tell me why it's A. You know what? The chat has spoken. The chat has spoken. To the A tier it goes. I trust y'all's insight more than my own. I'm not gonna lie, I got rolled by this deck like pre-ban, but because they were playing Duke and I was like, the hell is this shit? And then Ultima happened. I was like, wait a second, calm down. Calm down. Honestly, it doesn't matter when those 5 attacks are 100k for 4 crit. You know, that's very valid. But they do have Greed Shade. They do have the overdress card that just says, hello, pick up whatever you want for this card, which is basically just different Greed Shade without the mill. To me, Grand Blue is forever A until Ghidorah gets banned. Or something happens to bugs again, because that's just how it is. I think it's a very strong A. So it's just barely touching S. I do play a lot of Grand Blue. Sadly, there is no proper solution to bugs right now without completely warping your deck list. You can warp your deck list to fight bugs, but the issue is you then are gonna lose to other stuff or have a lower consistency rate into other stuff, and I think that's more hurtful for the deck than helpful. Because there is ways to play around bugs. It's actually possible to win a bug matchup as a Grand Blue player. The issue is you have to run like 4 dragons. And you have to turbo. So, or you can, yeah, Negro Boat's an out too. Negro Boat's an out as well, but Negro Boat's kind of cope. I think Negro's into the dragons is the way. You just dragging them and then you bad bounty into more dragons. So you just go dragon. You just literally your whole game plan is as many dragons on the board as possible. If you do that, the Ghidorah player will lose. The downside is you have to run a bunch of cope cards to like get there. But yeah, the hard loss to bugs I think is what's pushing it back right now. There are some people that actually don't think the deck's that strong, which is really interesting to me because the out just feels like so good. Great Nature feels very C-ish right now. I'm gonna throw it a C tier. You guys can argue with me. I think this is a very, I think people's opinion on GB is based on if they played against a good GB player. Great Nature is A or B. It's not A or, okay, 2B it goes. 2B it goes. I personally think the Spangled stuff is like really painful. Rhino combo is still scary. Really? You think the Rhino combo is scary? I don't know. I play Grand Blue, so I just pop it. So I just don't care. So I guess that I think I'm biased. Anytime I face Great Nature, I've always played something strong. You can give it resist. That is true. 3-card guard restrict. Anytime I played into it has been either me on Highlander or me on... I haven't told you guys the story where I hit 4 defenses and I shut down the Great Nature player's turn. And he had like the full combo with Rhino. I felt so bad. It was the funniest thing ever. I've never felt so dirty. I just went defense, 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 and the Rhino just didn't hit anymore. I think Spangled would make it. I think Spangled really hurt the clan. I'm gonna be real. I think it's C, but I'll stick to y'all thinking it's B. I value your guys' opinion on this more than myself. Once I rode with Highlander and misrode or on Rhino into Pearl Sisters and Hell Trudeau. Into... Aw, damn. Interesting. Great Nature should be between Tachis and... Alright, between Tachis and Angels it goes. There. Can Kagero go here? Maybe even here? I think it's a C tier deck. I'm gonna be real. It's between here and here right now. Overlord the Clan. As for sad tier, I approve. The biggest sad face on the planet. Oh, Bernardo! I think it's very C, very D right now. The deck has the same issue that Shadows has. It's just not doing enough. How about Lawkeeper? Lawkeeper's okay. You could play if you just read Lawkeeper, like just read it. Oh, like yeah. You could play around it.
It'll me harder.
Very much it'll me harder. The thing about Lawkeeper is that like it makes the new players cry, and then the better players are just like, okay. You know, as long as you just read it. It's like the impede stuff with Narcomi all over again. So last weekend I was watching a Link Joker player playing against a Kagero Overlord Legion player. And it took him like 12 Vanguard swings to kill the Link Joker player. It's because the Link Joker player kept breaking, they couldn't stride. So they literally just couldn't stride. So they just sat there with like a vanilla turn. And then like the Overlord player's like, all right, here comes 3 Vanguard swings. And the Link Joker player just kept barely surviving. And then again, like doesn't hit a stride or anything. And again, it's the Overlord player's turn. They're like, all right, here comes 3 more swings. And it was just this for like 20 minutes. Like, I can't stride, pass it to you. All right, 3 Vanguard swings. All right, I'll survive. All right, I still can't stride, pass it to you. All right, here comes 3 more. And I was like, bro, what is happening right now? Link Joker is high A. All right, I'm hearing high A, barely touching S here. It did top. It topped several times. Different variations of it. Link Joker will always top. No, that's not. I mean, Link Joker does top. You're not wrong. I think every meta that we've been in, Link Joker has topped at least once. Because people won't play around. You know, you're kind of right. People just won't play around it. People just don't. You think Chaos is S tier. Press Messiah. I think probably will top is good. I think okay. So. I'm gonna just let y'all, you know what, we're just gonna vote on it. Y'all can vote on it, S or A. I'm just gonna let the time roll. I think we see our answer. It seems to be S. I mean, sorry, A. Answer is A. Wow. Okay, so 69%, yo. You guys can't see it, but look, it's 69%. Boom. Oh, yo, 69% won, guys. That's crazy. All right, sorry, man. I know you topped with it, but to the A it goes. The 69% said nah. Ghidorah's an S, no questions asked. Best deck in the format. Yeah, so we're on bugs now. I'm gonna be real, I agree. I do think that it has some bad matchups. It does have some, there are some trash. Yeah, sure. Garbage. It's just make its own tier. B for ban. So personally, I do think that there are some decks that roll bugs. However, I think for the most part, it's still like very, very strong. It keeps a lot of decks out of the format right now. There is something that Ty Smith brought up, which I do agree with him. He did say that banning Ghidorah will like unlock a bunch of decks in a bad way. And I see what he's talking about. It kind of forces people to just like play decks without having anything stopping them. A good example is actually Grand Bloom. If there was I think if Ghidorah was like if there was only one stride, it'd make Grand Blue look a little bit more like on edge. But Ghidorah does stop Grand Blue from being the best deck in the format right now. However, I don't think it changes the overall argument of like Ghidorah needing to go. Personally, I also I'm for the side of like we should just get better cards that deal with decks like this more, and then we won't have to sit here and have to constantly ban this kind of BS all the time. This includes like loop decks and all that stuff. If you just have it out, then you know loop decks aren't really that bad. If Grand Blue becomes a problem, you can still hit Bart or something. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the overall issue is the fact that we just don't have enough cards to deal with random bullshit. Like, and this has been a problem for a while. Like, oh my god, a loop deck is so scary. It's like, yeah, it wouldn't be that scary if we had an out to it, right? Like, if there's a way to stop like certain skills or certain effects to go off, like it wouldn't be that bad. Like, but that's just my personal opinion on it. But we don't have that, so I think banning Ghidorah is just the answer. So, and right now it still just shuts down and locks out too many cards. You have to play around so many things just to like barely play the game right now. What is this? Is this Nubatama? No, this isn't Nubatama. This is, I think, Nubatama. This is Narukami. This is Murakumo. Let's see the Murakumo Nubatama. Wait, this is Narukami? This is Murakumo, right? Because this has to be Narukami. It has the lightning bolts on it. See it goes. So I know a little bit about Murakumo. I just know it dies to Hanali, but it's actually decent. But Hanali's just too strong. One is Mira, two is Naru. Okay, got it. Confuzzled orange, very confuzzled. Sharing Hanali response. Yeah, basically. I think the deck's decent, but yeah, it's very locked behind not seeing. I think it struggles similar to what Spike struggles with, but the difference is Spike just has a better card pool currently. Just better cards to work with, whereas Murakumo does not. Naru is mid A. How about right there? How does that look? It's definitely not S. Some people think it's S. There's actually a lot of people that think it's S tier. I think the deck falls to DP personally, so actually I think maybe like that or nah. Mid to low A. I personally think these two decks are better than what this deck does. I think that is pretty good, but it kind of has a lot of random hard matchups. It does have a lot of random hard matchups. Nova's low A. How low are we talking? High A. See, this one's a hard one. A lot of people just think this deck's really good. I don't know. I haven't played into it. Nova's a tier baby. We on up and up and up. Let's go. Oh my god, Gwen. I just like Zazanda. I think Zazanda's hilarious. Zazanda's so funny. High A. How high are we talking here? Like this high? Zazanda carries, and it's enough power that non-CB to restand threatening. I think it's Bricky and folds to Hanali with most hands. See, I want Ootman's side here. I think Hanali also hurts the deck a bit from it being S. It's a multi-attack deck that can actually make Bugs worry. That is true. Bugs does have a hard time into a lot of early rush. I think early rush is like really impactful. That's fair. I personally have nothing. I don't know. I don't have anything about the deck, so this is all y'all. Nubatama. Okay, so this is probably the hardest clan to rake. Okay, you guys might think I'm coping, but I actually think this deck is S tier. I think this deck's actually insane. I think the pilot really carries this deck. It has nothing to do with the quick shield. It has nothing to do with the other guardian shield. But I think this deck's really strong. I think people are very underestimating this deck. And then remember that the quick ticket, yes, they do exist. I've watched and played into this deck. It needs a broken, it does need a broken. See, Cardfighter159 knows what I'm talking about. I can't say too much because my friends are competing soon. I can't give away the sauce. But like, I'm telling you, I actually think the deck's like pretty spicy. Like even protect decks, like I've seen protect decks like that, like even Angel Feather, like straight up bolts to this deck. You have to, the thing about this deck is that because you're constantly trying to play into what your opponent's doing, yeah, it hurts your head. It does hurt your head, but you have to constantly, if you play correctly, Nubatama will win almost every time. Like, it's actually crazy how strong the deck is. But I'm just saying, like, it's just personal thoughts. I could be wrong here, so I'm not the pilot of the deck. I don't play Nubatama, but I've seen why it's strong, is the best way to put it. It has a lot of good stuff that it can do. Even with this is without the bird, by the way. I think it's really a really strong A. I think it's an A. Personally, if it was up to me, I'd put it in S and I'd just leave it there. But I think it's like literally right there. It could play around all of these decks in here, is if you build it correctly and the pilot knows what they're doing. And this deck is so hard to play that it won't see results that much. I watched a very particular person on this deck that really knows what they're doing, and even their head hurts a lot. But the deck is actually good. I recommend, personally, if you're about to compete and you know there might be a new Batava player, I highly recommend testing into it. If you test into it, you'll have a better time because you really, really need to know what that clan is doing. Oracle Think Tank. Do you think this is A tier? Mitto, I've seen. Huh? OTT. I mean, yeah. It's okay. All right. There it goes. Oh, there it goes. It does. OTT is probably the king of like goodpilot.com. Personally, a lot of these decks feel like they need a good pilot nowadays. As a grade blue player, OTT is like the least of my concerns. That's actually the reason why I always run one grade 1 sentinel and I run 3 draw trigger sentinels, or not draw trigger sentinels, like sometimes they're crit sentinels. Basically 1 grade 1 sentinel and then 1 sentinel that's not a grade 1 sentinel. And the reason being is exactly for the OTT matchup. Anytime I see OTT, I'm like, sucker, what you gonna do? Huh? I have my grade 1 PG ghosty. Sucks to be you. I just like the double draw discard. I've always been a fan of double draw discard, so I've just liked that sentinel to begin with, and I like crits in my decks, especially grand blue decks. So just run a protect deck, trust. Yeah, just run a protect deck. Yeah, we'll keep it. You guys say A, we're keeping it in A. Apparently everything can top. Can we put Pale Moon in won't top? No, just kidding, but real talk though. So where are we putting Pale Moon? Mid B? I'm joking, by the way. I think Pale Moon's good. I don't think it's like best deck, but I think it's good. Pale Moon is B. To show I wasn't tripping about the meta being wide open. Low A, high B. Oh, right. Harry also. It's Harry. I'm not gonna speak for Harry. I don't know enough. I've seen people play Harry. I've also seen people play Silverthorns, and I've seen people play Dolls. You can play around Hanali if you're playing Harry. You can't really play around Hanali if you're playing like Silverthorns or Dolls. I will say I think Pale Moon kind of just scoops to Gridora. Solid B. All right. So I've seen both ends of this argument. I've seen where this deck performs, but I've also seen where this deck lacks. So I do think like you can build it a certain way, kind of play around it, but you still have to play it to the other stuff. A little high, but fair. Well. Y'all play more than me. Nightmare Dolls can play to Ghidorah by using Nightmare Doll Stride plus Karo combo. I do think Pale Moon has some good finishers. And also, if you're giving GB, the deck kind of does its own thing and just kind of chills. You can also farm pretty well. And no, Nightmare Dolls, I don't think Nightmare Dolls is the play at all. Too much Hanali Ghidorah bodies it. I think the deck can top. I think we won't see it top that much. 1, because it'll have some tough matchups, and 2, it just won't be a popular pick. So I think B is a good spot for it. Anyway, can we put Royals in D? Something has to go in D. Come on, y'all. Something needs to go in D. D for D's nuts. No, don't tell me it's another B deck. No. I'm feeling the meme. Feeling the meme. No, don't say it again. I'm just messing. I'm messing. To be it goes. To be it goes. Cardfighter 159 witnessed the Royal Paladin the other day, actually, and Cardfighter 159 just went taser, bike. Have a nice day. Have a wonderful life, Royal Paladin. All right, this is like the most wildest tier list I think I've seen in a hot second. I'm not even gonna lie. What is going on? This is why. See, if it was up to me, it would be so much more scuffed. I would have like Nubatama in S tier. So I would definitely have Royals like a C tier somewhere. Cause I think DI would probably be joining it too. Like Prima's actually in a good spot. So as we concluded with the chat as a wonderful community and everybody all together, currently S tier as we believe for BCS is basically bugs, mainly because of how it just works. The A tier slot are all decks that can easily win and do a really good time and probably will top, but they will struggle into Ghidorah. B are decks that will top, can top kind of category. They have a lot of good stuff that's going for them and do a lot of strong things, but they struggle a little bit more because of XYZ reason. And then C tier, because we don't have a D and an F tier, it's basically just decks that are just like not doing too hot. They fold too quickly, so they're just kind of like unlikely to top, but they can top. I overall think I agree with most of this. So, and a lot of this is like definitely like the works of all of us just kind of, you know, figuring out what decks are good. A lot of the testers in here are kind of talking about it. I think this is overall a pretty good representation. There might be some stuff that can shift around a little bit, especially if Hanali is like potent, if Hanali is not potent. Some people bringing more rush decks versus other people not bringing rush decks. I think Melissa also being involved with this might change it a little bit. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you for sticking with me all the way through. That was a lot of talking and a lot of back and forth, but it was overall, I think, a very well done play, a very well done tier list. I think this was very informative. Actually, I learned a lot too. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget, Rosemont is right around the corner. And thank you as always for everything. Y'all are great and awesome, and stay great, stay awesome. The week's almost over, or if you're working on the weekend, the week just started. But you know, you got this. Bye bye.